Trade talks are heating up between Kyle Tucker and the Chicago Cubs, and I've got a little bit of a rant.
You are Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Sam Olber, and I'm a lifelong fan, taking my passion into a discussion with you on all things Cubs. Thank you for being part of the show and making Locked On Cubs your first listen today. And the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day, like the video, and comment anything below. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. And we have a lot to get to today. Hope everybody has stayed warm. It's about 8:15 Central Time on Thursday night at time of recording. Important to mention that in case news breaks later on. A lot is going on in the trade world. So what I want to do is I want to cover the latest, so you're up to speed if you're not refreshing Twitter every couple of seconds like myself. And then I got a little bit of a rant to get to that's kind of frustrating me. So we're going to get there. But the latest with the Chicago Cubs and Kyle Tucker. This is a tweet from Jose de Jesus Ortiz, who used to cover the Astros and seems really plugged into a lot of teams in Major League Baseball. He said, according to AL folks I trust, it will be a surprise if the Astros don't trade Kyle Tucker within 48 hours. The Cubs appear like clear favorites until a deal is done. Keep an eye on the Yankees, but the Cubs are better positioned, still waiting on other sources to call back. About an hour or so after that, Bruce Levine tweeted out something along the lines, I don't have the exact tweet in front of me, but that the asking price is steep for Kyle Tucker. The Astros are asking for either Matt Shaw or Cam Smith in the deal, which is making the asking price steep. We're going to talk about that here in a couple of moments. Want to catch everybody else up. The Bellinger to the Yankees trade, it's taken a lot longer than I think a lot of people expected, but it seems as though there's still momentum there, and those teams are just trying to figure out who's going to eat what money. It just shows you the state of baseball when you have the New York Yankees and the Chicago Cubs quibbling over like $2 or $3 million, but that's really seems to be what the case is going on here. And then for the first time, really this offseason, the Cubs had a Pete Alonso mention. This was from John Heyman Thursday afternoon on his Bleacher Report Live, and just connected those teams, said the Cubs have had interest. I think that news drop was either, number one, a leverage play by the Cubs to just speed the Astros up and say, hey, if we don't get this done soon, we're going to go in a different direction. Or Seiya Suzuki may well be a part of this Houston Astros Kyle Tucker trade, and then Pete Alonso would become a plan B after acquiring Kyle Tucker and losing Seiya Suzuki. I think it's probably more the former. But I have a little rant. I have a little rant that I want to get to here. I'm a little frustrated, but in a good way. And that is talking about what's going to go to Houston in this trade. I tweeted out about a couple hours ago something along the lines of, I'm getting excited. My final trade package prediction is Isaac Paredes, Cam Smith, and Jordan Wicks, and everybody freaked out. And nobody wants to give up Cam Smith. Like, we're trading the second coming of Mike Schmidt. And I really like Cam Smith. I had him rated as, I believe, my third highest position player on my trade value ranking. So by no means am I surprised that he is so coveted by the Cubs, and another team like the Astros wants him. So this is no disrespect to him. You could even make the case that he's got as high of a ceiling as anybody in the Cubs system, including Matt Shaw. And I'm also not saying that I don't have limits in this trade. The guys that would be untouchable in this specific trade because of the unknown with Kyle Tucker and his extension or coming back to the Cubs would be Matt Shaw, would be Pete Crow-Armstrong. And because Kyle Tucker is a one-year rental potential guy, I don't understand the point of giving up Seiya Suzuki. Why would you trade your current best hitter to get 1 year of a better hitter when clearly if you trade for Kyle Tucker, you're trying to win in 2025? So I'm not saying I would do this trade, for anybody. But if Jed decides not to do this and Cam Smith is the guy that gets in his way, I just think that that's kind of ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Cam Smith has had 5 AA games under his belt, something like that. By the time Cam Smith is a Chicago Cub, if the Cubs have one more season of 83 wins, Jed Hoyer won't be around to see him succeed. Jed Hoyer's got to go save his job. He's got to go make a move. The irony is perfect. Jed has been so afraid to take a big risk, and now he's being forced to take a big risk to possibly save his job. And I understand this. Sam, even getting Kyle Tucker and keeping Seiya Suzuki and Shaw doesn't make the Cubs World Series contenders next year because the Dodgers are around. I understand that. But this is baseball. It's not basketball. Go build a 90-plus win team. Dominate the NL Central. The Dodgers were 1 game away in the division series from being eliminated last year. You never know what could happen. And really, this isn't about the Dodgers. And as much as I love World Series championships, and that's all that matters, the Cubs need to be relevant again. The Cubs need to make moves, folks. The Cubs have not won a playoff game in 7.5 years, since 2017. The Cubs have not had a left-handed bat hit 40 home runs for them since 1970. That's 54.5 years ago, folks. And I understand the worst-case scenario. You get Kyle Tucker. He doesn't perform well. It doesn't go well. Cam Smith becomes really good. You'll be okay. The Rangers signed Jacob deGrom. Remember that? He barely pitched for him. They still won the World Series, Jack. The Dodgers traded for Tyler Glasnow. Oh, no, what if Glasnow gets hurt? He did. They still won the World Series, Jack. The Mets paid $50+ million last year to Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander to not be on their team, and they came within 2 games of the World Series. You can't operate in fear. I would be a hypocrite if I looked this camera in its lens and said, well, I don't want to do Cam Smith for Kyle Tucker, when for 50 straight episodes I have preached that this team, this franchise, this fan base needs a superstar. I'm not saying you give away the whole farm. I'm not saying no way for Matt Shaw, no way for Seiya in this sense. But if the deal is just Paredes, Cam Smith, and Jordan Wicks, and we're afraid to make that deal, what are we doing? What are we trying to accomplish? So then Jed Hoyer is gonna go out and his Cubs tenure is gonna end with another 81-win season because he was afraid to trade Cam Smith. That's how you want to go out? Really? It just makes no sense to me. If you get Kyle Tucker and he leaves in a year, so what? The world's not going to end. The Cubs will be fine. I'm going to talk about in a little bit. They're going to have tons of financial flexibility. They have no real albatross contracts left anymore, unless you want to call that Dansby's. They still have a really good farm system if they give up Cam Smith. You got to take a shot. It's time. I want to get really excited about watching a Cubs star again. And Kyle Tucker is kind of the perfect guy because it's not like he's an established, superstar, like a household name. He's not he's on the cover of video games. He's on every commercial type of superstar. He's not at the level of Soto or Judge or, of course, Ohtani. But maybe this helps the Cubs. Maybe a guy like Kyle Tucker comes here and the rest of the league goes, whoa. Tucker hit 290 with 38 home runs and 120 driven in. The Cubs won 92 games, but he's like a folk hero now in Chicago. Everybody loves him. You know what? I want to go play for the Cubs. I want to go be a star for the Cubs. Maybe Kyle Tucker then says, you know what? I want to stay here. So let's figure out a deal. There's so many things about this that aren't just about, well, what if we lose Cam Smith? I get it. I get the prospect hugging. I know it's a valuable piece of the game, but we're the Chicago Cubs. We rebuilt the farm for this reason. We rebuilt the system to go be aggressive when somebody comes that makes sense, and nothing makes more sense than this. Now, I'll be the first one to defend Jed if it comes out publicly that the Astros wouldn't do the deal unless Seiya or Shaw were in it. Okay? That's too much. There's a limit on everything. I get it. But I firmly believe that Paredes and Smith and whoever the third guy is, maybe it's Wicks, maybe it's somebody else, will be enough to get this done, and the Cubs need to find a way to get this done. If that's the case, you don't hold on to Cam Smith in this situation. Maybe they can get it done without giving up Cam Smith, and that's great too. But go Take a risk. Let's be fun again. Let's hang a banner again. Let's play October baseball again. You guys forget how fun that is? I want to be relevant. These 83-win teams. Look, 2021, we traded away the core. It was time. I was the biggest supporter of it. 2022, rebuild year. 2023, caught some people by surprise, choked in September. 2024, mediocrity, boring baseball. It's now 2025, and it's now time for Jed Hoyer, Tom Ricketts, Carter Hawkins, and everybody else to build a playoff team and get this fan base excited again. And I think Kyle Tucker is a big step, maybe the biggest step towards doing that. Coming up next, we are going to talk about some finance stuff and how this Kyle Tucker trade with the Bellinger stuff actually helps the Cubs long-term financially as well. And that's coming up next. This episode is brought to you by Game Time. Whether it's a Cubs game, a comedy show, or a concert, I love going to live events. And now Game Time has a feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste your time searching through thousands of tickets. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. The experience of searching for and then buying tickets on Game Time is simple. Plus, Game Time is the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. See the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKDOWNMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKDOWNMLB for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. What time is it? It's game time. We are back here on Locked On Cubs. Just want to go through a couple finance stuff with you. I know it's not the most exciting thing, but I don't think maybe people might not realize this. If the Cubs complete this Cody Bellinger trade, which feels like it's got to happen pretty soon, I would be really disappointed if I didn't see you guys with Matt at some point, either Friday or Saturday, for at least some sort of live trade reaction, something big. It feels like something's coming soon. Heck, I don't even know if this episode will make it live. Maybe something will drop before then, and we'll react to that. But if the Cubs trade Cody Bellinger, the rumor right now is that they're quibbling between who's going to eat what money, right? Let's just hypothetically say, I think it's a pretty safe bet to say the Cubs will eat around $5 million in this deal. Bellinger's owed 27, okay? So the Cubs would be getting rid of $22 million in salary. If Paredes goes, which I think is a foregone conclusion, if the Cubs get Tucker, that's another $26 million right there. So you're saving $28 million in salary. We're assuming Seiya stays. Tucker comes in. That's about $16 million at arbitration. So you are a net plus $12 million with all three of these acquisitions. So what that means is, and by the way, the Cubs could also easily trade Nico Horner as part of another package for a starting pitcher and open up another $11 million. That would put you at $23 million extra dollars. You start doing the math because the Cubs, as it currently stands, after they remove Bellinger, will have plenty of money to go add guys. You know, the Cubs would have a hole at third base. They can go get that. They can go take care of a guy in free agency, you know, whether it's a DeYoung or a Urshela type or whoever it is. They can go add another starting pitcher if they want to do that. If the trade market isn't what they thought, they can go add a guy like a Jack Flaherty. My guess right now is, with the way the starting pitching market has played out in free agency, the Cubs would really prefer to add that second pitcher via trade, because it just seems like, you know, 3 years, $75 million for Eovaldi, 3 years, $63 for Kikuchi. It's kind of crazy to me what the pitching market's doing right now. Fried got 8 years. So I think probably the Cubs prefer a trade. But the point I'm trying to make is, if the Cubs can get Tucker, if they can hold on to Seiya as well, but if the Cubs can get Tucker and move Bellinger, and Paredes is part of the Tucker deal, the Cubs are also going to have a lot more room. And you would assume that if you're going to trade for 1 year of Kyle Tucker, you're going to make sure you do the best you possibly can to be really good in that year. I don't think they're going to go over the tax, but they're going to have plenty of room to the tax where they can improve third base. They can shore up, a position. Maybe they do go after a Pete Alonso. Imagine a Pete Alonso, Seiya Suzuki, Kyle Tucker 2-3-4 situation. That'd be pretty exciting. I'm fully aware that there's nothing that the Cubs can do that makes you say, oh, well, they're going to be as good as the Dodgers. But does that really make you So what should every other team do in the league? Just not try? There's a reason why the Dodgers aren't going to be, if you were to ask me next year, do I take the Dodgers to win the World Series or the field? I would take the field every time because it's baseball. Random things happen in baseball. And so, just because they might not be on paper as good as the Dodgers or even close doesn't mean you don't give it a try. You need to take hold of this division and establish yourselves as the alphas in this division and take over the Milwaukee Brewers. And you're going to have money to do that. And if you can go get Kyle Tucker, you're going to have the players and the stars to do that. And so I'm all for it. I'm all for it. And I want to do it. Now, I don't do it for Matt Shaw. I don't do it for Seiya Suzuki. So please don't, I'm not saying you don't do it for anybody, or for everybody, but if Cam Smith's the tiebreaker, I'd love to get it done without Cam Smith. I'd love that. That'd be great for the Cubs, but the Astros have a say here. I personally think the Cubs have a little bit more leverage just because when you break down the Tucker stuff, it really just comes down to if the Astros want to trade him before the season or not, because they're not going to trade him to the Yankees. Why would they do that? There's a real rivalry there between those two teams. They've met in the playoffs a lot. I don't think they like each other very much. There's no way they help the sting that the Yankees lost with Juan Soto and give them Kyle Tucker. So it really feels like to me, unless the Yankees come with a Godfather offer, the Astros are trading Kyle Tucker to the Cubs, or they are saying, hey, we're going to hold on to him at least until the deadline. And that just doesn't make a lot of sense for Houston. In this case, they get Isaac Paredes. They get a guy that's going to mash at the Crawford boxes. Don't forget, the Astros got off to a really bad start last year. Then Kyle Tucker got hurt, and the Astros played really, really good baseball without him. I mean, he didn't even play half the season last year, and they still won the division. This is a fully capable team and a team that wouldn't be waving the white flag by trading Kyle Tucker, and they know that they don't have the funds to extend him or give him a $400, $500 million deal in free agency. So it's good business for them, and I really do think the Cubs have some leverage here with that. And I hope they take advantage of it. If they can get the deal done without Cam Smith, I am thrilled. If they can get the deal done with Cam Smith, I'm still really excited because it's time for this team to take a shot. And when Bellinger goes to the Yankees, and I said when because I do feel like that'll happen, the Cubs are also going to have some financial flexibility to improve themselves around the diamond as well to hopefully have a really fun 2025 season. So a lot going on. I'm clearly energetic. I'm excited. All I'm doing is just refreshing. Like I'm on my, I'm literally, as I am doing the show, I'm just making sure I don't miss anything on Twitter because it's that exciting. So coming up next, we're going to talk about the best and worst of the week. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. The Bears, I believe, on Monday Night Football are going to be around 7-point underdogs. And I'm just at the point right now where I just don't think I could bet on Bears games. They're not fun to watch. I guess the case could be made that by betting through FanDuel would make it fun to watch. Maybe I'll just bet on Minnesota because that team... That team's going to be part of my worst of the week. Let's just put it that way. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. We're back here on Locked On Cubs, and it's that time, best and worst of the week, on a chilly, freezing Thursday night in the Chicagoland area. I will start with my worst of the week since I just segued into it reading that FanDuel ad, and that's the Chicago Bears football team. And not only them, but I'm just so tired of the coverage. Like, I understand people have jobs to do, and the Bears coverage is great. Everybody does a wonderful job, but gosh almighty, I would rather hear about the Cubs possibly trading for Holby Milner, the left-hander, which I forgot to mention is something that seems like could happen in the next couple of weeks, then what the Bears are doing. This group of players just completely rightfully went after their head coach and then came out Sunday in San Francisco and just totally no-showed. The game was over after the first quarter. What an embarrassment. I mean, what a national embarrassment that team has become. I mean, it's unbelievable. It really is. Best of the week has to go to the winter meetings. I'm greedy. I wish that the Cubs were able to get the move done during the winter meetings, and I still wish that there was some sort of like deadline because, maybe like before the holidays, because, once we hit the holidays, baseball will go into like a little nap phase. But what a fun week this has been with the rumors and the Crochet stuff, Soto signing before. We saw Max Fried. This has been basically the opposite of last year. I mean, I remember last winter meetings. I mean, we couldn't. I think the biggest headline for the Cubs last winter meetings was Jed Hoyer saying, "I don't expect to do anything at the winter meetings." So this has been fun, and time will tell. We'll wait here. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next 3 hours there were some trades announced. Maybe it takes an extra a couple of days, but I'm hoping. My goal is that before we record our next show, which was always Sunday for Monday, that we got to hop on and do some sort of live show or reaction of either Bellinger going to New York, which would hopefully be a prelude to Kyle Tucker coming to the Chicago Cubs. It's exciting times. I hope you guys are enjoying the content and how we're covering it. Let me know in the comments. Are you one of those people that believes, hey man, no, I'm not giving up on Cam Smith for Kyle Tucker? Or are you like, you know what, Sam, I see what you're saying. I don't want to give up Cam Smith, but if that's what it takes with Paredes and one more guy, let's go win a division 2025 and enjoy Chicago Cubs baseball because it's been a while. Thank you so much for checking out this edition of Locked On Cubs. You give us 20 to 30 minutes. We'll give you all things Cubs with a laugh or two along the way. Be sure to hit subscribe on YouTube, smash the like button for the algorithm, and leave a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, and everywhere you get your podcasts. I'm Sam Olber. We continue to be locked on Kyle Tucker, and this is Locked On Cubs.